Hello everyone, it's time for another episode of Am I the Asshole? If you love hearing Reddit stories, it would really support the channel if you could give us a like or subscribe. Let's get started with our first story. Am I the asshole for laughing at my parents for an impossible mix-up? We was staying with my parents for 2 weeks, and my daughter Lizzie is a vegetarian. We bought some impossible beef and was going to use it for a later date. My whole family gives Lizzie a hard time for being vegetarian, but she has been one for almost 10 years, from 6 to 16. I have gotten all kinds of hell around the holidays because of things Lizzie wouldn't eat because it had chicken broth or bacon fat in it. I went to the freezer on day to thaw Lizzie meat for burgers that night. It was gone. My mom refused to get cataract surgery and somehow made the whole family Lizzie's gross fake meat, and not one person noticed. It was funny, and I told my daughter and my family and laughed at them. My dad got extremely angry at us because he always talks shit about grilling Lizzie's burgers and calls them gross. There was 2 meals that week. It could have been a meatloaf or taco meat, and no one noticed. My dad is calling me an asshole, saying how could we be so careless and someone could have gotten sick from eating the fake meat. But it says impossible in large letters on the packaging. So it was my mom's mistake, and no one at the time said the meal tasted any different. Not even my picky-ass father. So how judgmental they are of Lizzie. Then Dad refused to have the fake meat in the home because of that, and instead Lizzie ate a mushroom burger. But I told him I think he's overreacting to this. But he told me I could stay in a hotel because I played a mean trick on everyone. He was grumpy with both Lizzie and I for the rest of the vacation. Not the asshole. Your family is, though, aside from Lizzie. I'm vegetarian, but luckily my family is supportive. Well, mostly. Mom and my younger bro are. My older bro is a jerk anyway. My dad is coming for a visit, and I know it will be an issue for him. Regardless, there's nothing wrong with impossible meat. Your dad didn't need to be grumpy to you and your daughter? Like, what the fuck? Sounds like my dad, honestly. Can laugh and make jokes and be hurtful to others, but don't you dare make a joke when he's the butt. Ugh! Grown men need to stop being such babies. I hope your vacation with Lizzie wasn't too terribly ruined. They didn't even notice, so they're just pissed about that part. I'm not a vegetarian, and I've eaten impossible burgers a couple times. I can kind of tell the difference, but I can't with impossible chicken nuggets. And I'm sure I wouldn't be able to with something like tacos. It's a really good substitute, and they're being jerks. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I am a carnivore, and I find this hilarious. Because they fed up, they're blaming you. Honestly, it serves them right for not paying attention to what was written on the box. Impossible or beyond meat when cooked into strong flavored dishes like taco meat, chili, and spaghetti sauce are almost impossible to tell the difference. Or the massive amount of tomatoes paste my mom puts in meatloaf. Am I the asshole for telling my dad that he's effectively made me homeless? I, 22 male, moved out of my dad's house around 1.5 years ago. The deal he made with me was that I could always come back home if I was struggling too much financially. I'm a university student and also working full-time. My lease ends on September 1st, and since around July, he and I have been under agreement that I can move back in with him starting in September. Fast forward to today, he texts me out of the blue and says that his current girlfriend isn't okay with me living there and that he'll need to figure something else out. Her reasoning was that she didn't want to have to hear me in the basement late at night since I get off work super late. I would have been quiet. The most noise would have been the alarm going off for 5 seconds when I opened the door. He told me this 2 weeks before my lease is up. I tried to make a case for myself and told my father that we've been in agreement for months that I could move back in, but he's still refusing. I told him he just effectively made me homeless, and that if I had known sooner that I couldn't move back in, I would have looked for somewhere else. He told me I needed to grow up and handle this like an adult to figure out my own problems. As it stands, most landlords aren't even renting out for September 1st at this point. You'll have to find a place for October 1st. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. It's sad that he's not even willing to house you temporarily, to give you time to find another option, given that he'd made a commitment to you. He's choosing his girlfriend's preferences over your basic needs and justifying it by saying, well, you're an adult, figure it out. Adult or not, you had an agreement and therefore had not made other arrangements, and it's totally inappropriate for him to withdraw that at this point. Exactly. If he had told me by the beginning of this month that I couldn't move back in, I would have had more than enough time to figure something out. Ask your father how an adult handles this. Tell him you have not run into any other adults who have had their housing promise ripped from underneath them with only 2 weeks' notice. Tell him most young adults have some support from their families if something like this does happen. Tell him you hope his girlfriend is socking away enough money to care for him when he gets old. Send him a few posts from Reddit of parents who crawl to the children they denied basics to when they are old. He can see what the world thinks of those parents. Mate, dad's penis is drowning out any logical thinking. Not the asshole. He is telling you to grow up, but can't seem to prioritize his own responsibilities here. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like you have a lot of choice in the matter. All you can do is never, ever forget this decision he made. This is your excuse to never make a deal/agreement with him again. It's your chance to dodge the next 1 to 1,000 favors he asks of you. This is going to be all the proof you need to show that you owe him nothing from here on out. Not the asshole. That really doesn't leave you much time at all to find a place, if there is availability. There are reasons that 30 days is the standard, especially if you work full-time, and it probably messes up your finances as well. Well, that's another episode of Am I the Asshole in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.